All right, so for tangent, it's going to be -3 divided by 3. That's just a -1. All right, let's go ahead and look at the reciprocals. Someone said earlier, can't I just take these and flip these upside down? No, you cannot, because like some of these denominators were rationalized. You can't just flip these. You have to go back and look at the measures. So for secant, remember your radius is 3 square root 2. Your x value is 3. We're just going to knock off those 3's. Those 3's are going to cancel. So secant is root 2. Those don't match. So again, don't just think you can flip this upside down. Cosecant is 3 root 2, bless you, divided by -3. Those 3's are going to cancel out. Cosecant is negative root 2. Down here for cotangent, x divided by y, that's just a -1. And then, I don't know if you guys remember, but remember we were writing these in our packet? Let's write these here in this column. Open up that packet. And you probably don't remember, but I asked you to bold out the negatives. That matters. So kind of bold out your negatives here. I skipped one. This is -1. Then we had +2. Then a negative root 2. Then our -1. Where the positives are. So I'm going to draw myself an x and y axis. And I am just going to focus on the positives. So this is where the positives are. So if you can look at these 4 columns here, column 1, guys, we drew theta in the first quadrant. Let's look at the first quadrant. When theta is in the first quadrant, what do you notice about all of these signs? They're all positive. So where the positives are, they're all positive here.
Can't see the top.
Oh, thank you. But write it like I did. Write all like I did. Very close to the y-axis, going down. I'm going somewhere with this. We're going to write a little sentence that helps you remember it. Let me organize my paper. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on in quadrant 2. Which ones were positive when theta was in quadrant 2? There was only 2 of them that were positive. What are they? What ratios? Look at your table. Look at your columns.
Oh, sine and...
Yes, sine and what else? There's another one. Sine and cosecant. Remember, cosecant was the reciprocal for sine. So, guys, I'm just going to focus on the main trig functions, because if sine was positive, then I know its reciprocal is positive also. Notice how I wrote sine. Write it over here. Kind of remind yourself, we're going to fill in some words going across. Write that out to the side. Look at quadrant 3. You only had 2 of them that were positive in column 3. Find them. Which ones were the only ones that were positive? Tangent. That's right. Let's write the word tan going down. And then, so there's sine, tangent. What's the other main one that we have not written already? What is it? What is it? Cosine. That's right. That's the only one we're missing. We're going to write that right here. So it's very important to remember where the positives are. Here's a little sentence that all of us use. It might be true, it might not be true, I don't know. But it's always going to help you remember which ones are positive. And the little silly saying that we use is all students take calculus. Now I know it might not be true. That's okay. But that is going to help me remember which ones are positive. I have to know that. First quadrant, they're all positive. That's great. Second quadrant, only sine is positive. Third quadrant, only tangent's positive. Fourth quadrant, only cosine is positive. Now, you guys know a lot more about the unit circle than you think you do at this point. Y'all go to the front cover. Go to the front cover of your packet. We're going to start chipping away at this stuff. All right. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to kind of bold out the x and y axis. Do this with me. Kind of bold this out a little bit. Here's your x-axis. This is the y-axis. And remember, this is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. And there's a little itty-bitty piece of information that you would almost overlook if I didn't point it out to you. I'm going to highlight it. It's right here. Don't look on the inside of the circle, look on the outside of the circle. On the outside of the circle are ordered pairs, but on the unit circle, we drop x and y. We don't use x, we use cosine. Oh, what's the ratio for cosine? X over r. For the y coordinate, we don't use the letter y, we use sine. Oh, what's the ratio for sine? Y over r. So this is x, and this is y. Now again, only look at the outside, don't look at the inside. Look at these ordered pairs. Are they positive or negative? They're both positive, right? They're all positive, right? Okay, let's look over here. Which ones are positive over here? The second one. What's the second one? Only sine's positive over here. The last over here in quadrant 3, are any of them positive? None of them are positive. This is supposed to be where tangent is positive. I'm going to talk to you about that in a second. Look at these ordered pairs. Which ones are positive? The first one's, which is cosine. Good. Now, let me talk about tangent for a moment. All right, so for tangent, remember tangent was supposed to be positive, but these are all negative. So let me get here. No, I don't need that. I need a little pencil. Here it is. All right, listen. What was the formula for tangent over what over what? Y over x. Good. Remember, this is y over x. But remember, we're dropping x and y now. We're using sine and cosine. So this is sine over sine. Y'all, tangent is just the division of the coordinates. That's all it is. So let me pick a coordinate. I'll just pick this. So this is going to be negative. Here's your x, negative 1/2, divided by your y value, negative 3, divided by 2. Hey, what's a negative divided by a negative? So tangent's positive down here. So let me go ahead and divide this out. But y'all know when we divide fractions, we don't really divide. We multiply by what? All right, so this is going to be negative 1/2 multiplied by a negative 2 over root 3. Y'all, what happens with those 2's? They cancel out. So tangent is going to look like 1 over root 3. No, it's not. That's ugly. You got a rat demon. You got to multiply the top and bottom by root 3. So tangent is right here. This is tangent. It's positive. has to be positive. That's why tangent is positive, because both sine and cosine are negative over here. If you guys could, please, let me go ahead and get rid of this ink. Y'all go back to the very first notes you took on Friday. That table. You made a little table of your trig function. Oops. Right here. Look, you wrote that down and didn't even know what you were writing down. You already have this. Remember, tangent and cotangent, they're extra. Remember, it's just the division of the ordered pairs. It's always positive in quadrant 3. All right, so now that we're kind of making a connection on everything, let's keep going. So back to this, now we kind of understand where the positives are, what the negatives are, what they mean. We're now going to complete problems 5 through 10 on this packet underneath these columns. We're going to do this right here, this part right here. Okay. Let me get organized. I'm a little unorganized right now. Okay. So I'm going to write down problem 5 right here. And guys, in our notes, it uses the inequality symbols. You know, that's formal math, and that's really good. We're just looking at positives and negatives. That's all we're looking at. So right here, where it says we want sine to be greater than 0, we just want to see where sine is positive. So guys, we want to see where sine is positive, but at the same time, we want to see where cosine is negative. Which quadrant fits that? Look at what we drew here. Which one is that? Where is sine positive? Sine is positive in both of these, but over here they're all positive. This is not. So which quadrant would this be in? In 2. Let's write 2. Number 6 says this. This time we want sine to be negative, and we want cosine to be positive. Where's that at? Look at our table. Quadrant 4. There you go. Quadrant 4. Number 7 says cosecant. We want cosecant to be negative, and we want secant to be negative. Now remember, guys, they're going to have the same exact sign as their original. So remember, the original, if it starts with a C, the other one started with an S. So the original was sine. Where is sine negative? And that starts with an S, so the other one was cosine. Where are both of those negative again? Quadrant 3, where tangent is positive.
How do we find out again what quadrant we're in?
Based on the signs. So sine is negative, so it can't be there, because that's where they're all positive. It can't be there, because that's where sine is positive. So it either has to be one of these. Over here, it says cosine is positive, so it can't be that. So it has to be quadrant 3. We're like working backwards. It's like a puzzle. So this one's quadrant 3. Malik, watch me. Don't write this down. You can write it down later. Here's what problem 8 says. So we're wanting cosecant. Hang on, guys. We want cosecant to be positive. I'm going to figure out what the main one of that is in a minute. And then at the same time, we want secant to be positive. Now remember, the main ones for these are sine. So really, we just want to know where sine is positive because these are always going to match. The reciprocal is always going to match. And we also want, that starts with a S, so the other one starts with a C. We want to know where they're both positive. There's only one spot where they're both positive. Quadrant 1, where they're all positive. The other ones have negatives. So this is quadrant 1. There's only one place where they're all positive, both positive. Let's look at number 9. Number 9, we want secant to be negative, and we want cotangent to be positive. Remember, cotangent is the same thing as tangent. Where is tangent positive in our graphic? Quadrant 3. So just a reminder, let's write these in here, guys. So if sine is positive, then cosecant is positive because it matches it. Its reciprocal matches it. If this is tangent positive down here, then so is cotangent. They're always going to go together. Do y'all remember the reciprocal for cosine? Secant. They're always going to match. Okay, let's keep going here. Let's see what number 10 says. Number 10, we want secant to be negative, and we want cotangent to be negative. Got it? Remember, you want secant to be negative. You want cotangent to be negative. Remember, secant is the same as cosine. Cotangent is the same as tangent. Remember, if they're both negative, then the third one has to be positive. The third one that's not mentioned here has to be positive. What quadrant is it? It's quadrant 2. That is correct. Quadrant 2. I only have 2 more examples, and these